It's time for the match preview, and we are going to be looking ahead to Sheffield United coming to Kenilworth Road this Sunday. I guess we've got to talk about it, and with me to discuss this game is my co-host, is Mark Ryman. How are we feeling, Mark?
In terms of football, pretty terrible. Are there any supporters who are having a more miserable time in the Football League than Luton? In terms of on the pitch, I know there are a lot of football teams off the pitch, nightmare, but I can't think of any. I really can't.
It's pretty bad.
It's really bad.
It is pretty bad. Luton Town, bottom of the table. Can you believe it? It's bleak as hell right now. Really bleak. Yeah. And, I guess we've got to do it. Let's recap. Sunderland 2, Luton Town 0. Firstly, fair play to every single fan that went up there.
Yeah.
I watched it from home, and my God, that game was diabolical to watch. Other than the first minute and a half of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half. Yeah, so both very avoidable goals. And Sunderland didn't even get out of second gear.
Avoidable issues in the lineup as well for me. I think Matt Bloomfield, after 10 days of preparing the players, how he didn't see that we were in desperate need of some experience in there is a bit beyond me. We got Calson Naismith on the bench. We got Nakamba on the bench. I'm sorry. I know he's new. I'm not going to lay all the criticism on him. He's inherited an absolute shit show in terms of Luton. But he has to take some responsibility for that. I saw the lineup and we immediately, I think I texted you on our group chat and said, we are in trouble. Not just the fullbacks. We know the right back situation is not great regardless, but, having someone like Cal on the pitch is there for that exact reason. You've got a really, young set of fullbacks against Enzo Lefebvre on one side and Patrick Roberts on the other. I mean, it's just asking for trouble. So I was really disappointed by that. Apart from the first couple of minutes, as you said, where we started to play some football in their half, and I thought, that's good. And then that apparently was us done. Attacking threat. We lost all form of idea. And I found it depressing, not just their ability being so much better than ours, but just the basics, the lack of basics. I mean, we had no time on the ball at all. They pressed, they harried, everything that Luton are known for. They did, and we didn't. Every time they had the ball, despite where we're defending, I understand we're not going to defend as a high block, but even then, they're allowed their midfielders to spray passes left and right at some of the best players in the Championship as well, and allow players to cut inside and shoot. And of course, that's where the first goal came from, and nearly the Isidore chance after about 3 or 4 minutes as well. Exactly the same thing. And as you said, avoidable goals. I mean, a really poor build up to the first goal. So many issues with it. Players allowed time and space on the ball, and then nobody, I mean, Raw Walters really we're talking about, but no one closing down the shot. And then the second one is just almost laughable in terms of how it happened. I felt like Lamine Fanny had a really poor game personally, actually, and didn't do what he's there to do, which is take the ball out. But I think I blame that as well on a lack of experienced head with him. He's new to the Championship and we needed it there. So, yeah, disappointed. It felt inevitable. It felt like so many other games this season. It felt very similar to the Borough Leeds games. Scoreline was less embarrassing, but apart from that, the performance was exactly the same.
The first goal was harder to take than the second goal because the second goal, ball just bounced on his legs and he slotted Isidore through so beautifully. The first goal, because we'd had so many warning shots, that exact way, down that exact side, Rua Walters getting caught out time and time again. And you made a good point about the fullbacks and the wingers. And I think the only one that came out of the game with any credit was Joe Johnson, to be honest. He actually looked really good, really mature. It didn't help that in front of him he had Zach Nelson, who has even fewer games to his name than Joe Johnson. at this level, or it's pretty close between the two. I think Zach Nelson maybe has 6, Joe Johnson has 3, and then on the other side you have Walters, who has a handful, and Ali, who was making his first ever start in the Championship. I don't know what was going through Bloomfield's mind after 11 days to prepare for it, and he comes out with that. Fortunately, Walters was much better when he was front-footed in the second half, and that's fair, credit where it's due. But in the first half, damage was done. He was shocking in that first half, constantly out of position, pushing way too far up on Lefay, getting spun, not tracking back, standing, watching, ball watching. And now I think, there are 15 games to go, and it's looking pretty dire. But I was saying in the Championship prediction video, Millwall have shown if you can get 3 wins together, it can sort of propel you up the table just a little bit. But the problem is we have Sheffield United up next, and I don't know where the wins come from. And then Plymouth look resurgent, playing all the teams above us soon.
All the teams around us look resurgent, with the exception of Derby, who just signed John Eustace. So it's an inevitability that they will at some point. It's not good. It's not looking good. And like you say, Sheffield United up next. I can't see us getting anything from that. Plymouth, again, just won 5-1. Then we've got the Derby. I mean, there's every chance that we lose all of those games. Watford are in terrible form, but I'd still take anyone on for a bet. If they're at home against us, that regardless of form, they'll get a result because, clinging on against Sheffield Wednesday, which was positive, like a lot of this season, it's positive as long as you back it up with a performance. No one expected us to go to the Stadium of Light and win the game or even get a point. I would have been happy if we lost the game as long as we showed something and some fight, but we didn't. And therefore, any confidence that we might have gained from that 1-1 draw, I think it's gone out the window, and be compounded if we get beat heavily on Saturday as well. Concerning.
Even the performance against Sunderland earlier on in the season, which was probably the second best performance, possibly a better performance than the one against Watford, that was something to build on, and then we never did. We went to Coventry, chucked away a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2, a 2-goal lead that we didn't look like we even deserved at all. It's I don't know where we go from here. Really don't know. I guess, shall we have a look at the team news? I'm done talking about
Come on then.
Game.
Yeah, please.
Let's look at their team news. So Alfie Doughty missed out last game with a little hamstring niggle. Bit of a shame that's happened, considering he had 11 days off. I don't know what they were doing. Were they just training by kicking him in the leg? Who knows? Isaiah Jones still missing for personal reasons. Reece Burke apparently is behind Chandler Baptiste in his recovery, which probably means he's buried.
We'll never see him again in Luton shirt.
Yeah, we'll never see him again. I think, like, of all the usage that you could pick up, all the wordage you could use, I don't think behind Shandon Baptiste and his recovery is a good one. Probably means his contract will run out before Reece Burke is ever back again. Tahith Chong, he's the furthest away. Amari Bell, no idea. Tellen Mencken, Tom Lockyer not even mentioned. So
no.
Yeah.
saying behind Shandon Baptiste is a bit like saying you need to work on your tackling because you're a little bit behind Liam Walsh. It's the same principle. I think, well, hopefully Doughty's back. If he's not, obviously that really does inhibit our ability to cross. I would say Joe Johnson looked lethal from the free kick that did lead to the post. What a cross that was for Morris, who decent header to be fair and an excellent save.
What about Milanik Ali's finishing?
We're not talking about the game anymore, are we? So
I know, sorry.
I'm ignoring that. Yeah, please, let's not talk about that. But if anything epitomised how we're doing this season, I think it was probably that. Anyway, yeah, you'd hope he's back. I think Jones an interesting one because in his post-match with 3 Counties, Bloomfield said he's fine, no more issue, and that he'd trained last week, but then didn't say why he didn't make it onto into the squad. So who knows with that one? Maybe he just needed a bit more training in legs, or he's still carrying a bit. He hadn't played for a long time. I mean, you'd argue we probably got the most cover on that side of the pitch. We would still like to see Jones there because he's arguably the most exciting with Asgard of the January transfer window. So who knows whether he comes straight back in. I thought Bowler did all right when he came on again for the limited opportunities that he had. Who knows with Marv? Who knows? Who knows what the hell's going on with Marv?
Yeah, he should have played the last game. He should definitely play this game. Yeah. To be honest, he's the person that should be playing in the middle with Lamine Fanny and Asgard in front of him. I don't think Jordan Clark really offers too much. I think the relegation has really damaged him. Him and Carlton Morris.
Jordan Clark's not a 6 or an 8, and I think he's trying to play him sort of in between the two. He's not that. We know defensively he's really poor, and that's not to take away from his ability going forward. But you're right, you can't have someone like him in that position and expect any different. I don't understand why that hasn't changed. Even if we put Cal there, I mean, arguably Cal Naismith would work perfectly well as a double pivot. He's got all the attributes needed. He's played there before for Luton and I think for Bristol City as well, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
He played there for Wigan. He's played literally every position.
Quite, exactly. So it's always a guarantee with Cal that he's played there. But yeah, we need that, and we need experience up against a very tough side as well. And what we don't need is just to hoof it aimlessly up, because Sheffield United are going to eat that up all day long. We try the long ball against them, we are going to get nowhere. So we need that. I mean, up front, I thought Morris had a tough night overall, but I don't really blame him this time so much.
It's pretty tough when you're not running for the ball.
But he had
chasing players.
Yeah, no, I think he doesn't work as an isolated forward. The one chance that he had, I think he did very well with. But he's feeding off scraps there. Yes, he has had a poor run of form. Eli didn't look any better when he came on. So yeah,
at least Elijah kind of put himself about and was chasing the ball. He wasn't getting near it, but the fastest Carlton Morris moved in that game that we're not going to be talking about was when he ran off the pitch to get replaced.
Fair enough.
I sent you a video earlier of
you did.
Ronaldo from the Paddy Power advert. Morris has sort of transformed into Ronaldo from that Paddy Power advert. Touch of a trampoline and can't move. And
I think regardless, I think we can agree that as a number 9, we're struggling. Nordas, is he the answer straight away? I doubt it, but who knows? We're going to shove him in. Why not? But I think the defensive two again. I thought McGuinness was okay. I don't think there was any issue there, and actually, I don't think either of them have done a huge amount wrong. I think most of the issues came from either poor defensive midfield decisions or the fullbacks, particularly on the right hand side against Sunderland. I thought the middle two. I think there were some good blocks in there from McGuinness again, putting his body on the line far better than he did at the start of the season. I think if anyone comes out with any credit, it's probably him. But so I think you'd keep those two in the middle, and then it depends on where he wants to play Alfie if he's fit. Maybe left wing or left back. Yeah, I hope so, because it then gives us more options going forward. Because Ali, I think, looked, apart from that shot, actually, I thought I saw quite a lot of people having a moan online, and he did give the ball away a fair bit. Who didn't? But I think at least he was driving at players. Yeah, exactly. At least he's driving at players. That's what I want. So many times we get ourselves into dangerous positions. Even at the edge of the box, we just bloody pass it back to the keeper. And I'm thinking, what? So he can boot it up in the air. And it's just so frustrating. Anyway, we're not talking about that game.
No.
There you go. That's done now.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'd like to see a bit more seniority on the
me too.
On the pitch, especially in the wide areas. You can't put Lambs to the slaughter out on the wing-back positions. As good as Joe Johnson was, put Alfie Doughty there. Maybe Hashi replaces Walters, but depending if we get second half Walters rather than first half Walters. Yeah. But now, instead of previous encounters, let's have a little go. This is a working title. Please let me know what you think in the comments of this title. It's called Have We Met Before?
Okay, go on then. I'm not prepared at all for this. Didn't even know what the name of the segment was, so this will be fun.
So, as always, make sure you check out hattersheritage.co.uk for all the previous encounters. We've done them to death. We talked about every single team we've played in the previous encounters. So check out hattersheritage.co.uk. And I've taken this from the new statistics page that tells you who the top appearance holders are at Luton Town, and you can actually filter it down based off season, competition, and opponents. So for this one, we are trying to find out who in the current squad has played against Sheffield United the most.
Right.
Now I'm going to tell you a completely irrelevant thing here. Sid Owen has played Sheffield United the most. He's played 10 times. And then David Priest has also played 10 times. But we have to go all the way down to 7 appearances. Who in the current squad has made 7 appearances against Sheffield United?
Current squad, not including those that have currently gone out on loan. Just checking. So therefore, that's Pelly gone. I don't think, because obviously we're mostly in lower leagues with Pelly anyway. Right. I have a feeling it's going to be one of the 2 forwards. I'm trying to think when Adebayo came before Morris. We've not played a huge amount recently. Am I missing anybody obvious? Probably. Jordan Clark's the other one who's been there a fair amount of time. Shea's been there the longest. Sorry, I'm just talking through my logic, which is not really
good
there.
Logic. It's very good logic.
Okay, well, there we go. But I think because we've only played them really since we've been in the Championship, and they've been up in the Prem some of that time as well, I'm going to go with Elijah Adebayo.
Correct. He's played, started 6 and come on as a sub once against them.
Nice.
It's very good. You can check this all out. hattersheritage.co.uk. It's a great resource. It really is. Bonus point. Who's the second? Someone else has played 6 times.
Well, based on that logic, I'd go with Clark.
Incorrect. It's Amari Bell.
Oh, of course,
You're doing so well there, though. It's always the follow-up question.
Yeah, you ruined it. Tough. Yeah, we'll cut that out.
Yeah, we won't cut it out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you cut it out.
You cut it out. Right. Now it's time for thoughts from the opposition. Let's kick it over to Phil. Take it away, Phil. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. It's Ollie. No Phil today. Because of the quick turnaround, he just didn't have the time to jump on and meet with who we're going to be talking to. It's Jimmy Smith from the Blades Ramble, and let's hear what he has to say ahead of Luton Town versus Sheffield United. So, as promised, I'm joined by Jimmy from the Blades Ramble. How are we getting on, Jimmy?
Very well, thank you, mate. Very well. As we speak, we are just coming off a very impressive victory over Middlesbrough. It was a fixture I was concerned about because obviously they've done okay this season, maybe slightly underwhelming by their standards, but always a strong team in this league. I was fearing maybe a point, but we turned up last night. First time in a long time we've turned up and put in a really strong performance. So I am very well. The question I need to ask you, my friend, as my mate, how are you?
Well, we're going to be going down, so not great.
You're not going down.
Yeah, I think we're going down. Look, well, there are only 15 games to go. I think it's done.
No, exactly. There's 50. There's a third of the way to go.
Yeah, and after you, we have to play Plymouth, which is a much harder game.
It is, yeah. If only you'd have played them when Rooney was still in charge.
We did. They beat us 3-1.
Mate.
No. It's not been a good season for Luton Town. But the reason why we're here is to get the lowdown on Sheffield United. Yes, it was a great victory against Borough. I caught a little bit of it on Sky because I didn't go to Sunderland, so I watched a bit of your game. It was It was a very combative performance, and there were even a few handbags, weren't there, with Edmondson?
Yeah, there were a little bit. I mean, we dominated, and I don't say that lightly because I'm not
You did.
I'm not an overly confident sort of. I think it's a bit braggy sometimes to come on and say. Shout out to Connor, one of the Leeds channels that are just will brag about anything, thinking they're the best, and they are very good this season, to be fair. But I'm not going to talk about them. We dominated last night, and it was disappointing because the referee was atrocious throughout, and I think he was poor for both sides, but it was just not getting anything right, and it's so frustrating to watch a game like that. And we've struggled in terms of performances recently, so we've got the results, but fans have still been a little bit unconvinced by some of the victories that we've had. So to turn up last night and put the performance in that we did, we went 1-0 up, lovely bit of play. Callum O'Hare goes through, he gets tackled and should have been a penalty really, but the ball spills out to Raksaki, who taps it in. We feel like we're on our way, and if we can continue that momentum through the game, we're going to win this, and hopefully quite comfortably. Then, just before half-time, Borough get a corner, comes across, and Jack Robinson and George Edmondson are like this with each other's shirts. Just a little bit of a Blades Ramble merch plug. But they're like this all over everybody's shirts. And a little bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I would say Edmondson, probably the bigger offender, to be honest. Drags Robinson over at top of him. Referee blows. You think, right, well, it's the standard weak referee decision that it's 50-50. It didn't really affect the play. They're going to give a free kick to the defenders, which is always a bit of a moan and groan. But obviously, you take it when it's for your side. It were a penalty. He gave a penalty, but then he booked both players. So it just did not make sense at all. It was never a penalty. And Wilder came out afterwards and said it were a ridiculous decision because you give 6 or 7 penalties a game. You either make a decision at the beginning of the season and say that anybody that's got hands on shirts is going to be given a foul against, whichever way it goes, and that's fine. Set the standard from the beginning. But there's no consistency in it all. It's a case of, that could have happened. That could happen this weekend against Luton and Sheffield United. And there'll be nothing given. There'll be nothing given at all because it's seen as a little bit of handbags, like you said. So that kicked off a little bit. I've heard, I haven't seen the highlights back yet, but I've heard that somebody slapped Vinny Souza around the back of the head to try and get a reaction. Nobody saw it, and that kicked off a little bit. It was handbags, really. But that took us into half-time at 1-1, completely undeserved. A bit of a kicker, and you think, how are we going to react to this? Came out second half and again dominated. So ended up winning 3-1, very well deserved. I haven't said that enough this season, but I was really pleased because we've got 2 very tricky. That was the first of 3 really tricky fixtures. So we've obviously Borough at home. Whenever anybody plays Borough, I think you're going to be up against it. I know you guys have had a terrible season, but always going to the Kenny. I don't care what anybody says. Going to the Kenny is always tough. Nobody looks forward to it. Nobody thinks that's an easy game. And I know you're not quite the physical side that you built your reputation on over the last few years, but it will turn at some point. I'm sure it will. So we've got a difficult game against you at the weekend, and then the next game after that is Leeds at home. So this is like a make or break for our automatic promotion hopes. This little run. So to get the win last night was vital. Keeps us 3 points away from Burnley in third. Absolutely delighted with it, mate. Absolutely delighted.
But personally, I'm hoping you take your eye off the boil at the Kenny before Leeds, which is a much more vital game because that could decide whether you go up as champions or just as second place. Neither are to be sniffed at. But I want to talk about Jack Robinson because he's come in for Harry Souttar. And Harry Souttar out for the season. I'm happy Souttar isn't playing because I don't think Luton Town have ever beaten a team that Harry Souttar has been a part of, whether it's Sheffield United or Stoke. He's a tremendous defender. How much has he been a miss for your back line? Because you brought in Rob Holding and Harry Clark, both very good additions at this level.
Yeah, Harry Clark's been starting for us at right back, so he's replaced Alfie Gilchrist. We have actually gone over our loan quota, so we're at 6 loans now.
So many loans.
Yeah, too many loans. It was like it felt like a bit of a desperation signing Harry Clark because Alfie Gilchrist's form dropped, and he had 2 consecutive bad games where he did need to come out of the side, and he has done. Harry Clark's come in, and Alfie's been the one to sit out of the match day squad, which is unlucky for him. But I don't know if you're asking me about Jack Robinson to get me in trouble, Ollie, because if you've seen any of my content, it's one of those where I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Jack. I'm a fan of his attitude on the field. I love the way that he plays in terms of it, battling for the shirt and fighting for every ball, but I don't think he's got the ability. And I think
he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he has. 5 years he's been at the club now. So you kindly did a recorded piece for the Ramble, which I'll be playing out very shortly, where you talked about Harry Souttar and the fact that you felt that was a potential, one of the few chinks in the armour that Sheffield United might have would be at centre-back. And it's really astute because since Harry Souttar left, we have not been the same side defensively. We have not. You'd nailed it. Yeah, you'd nailed it in your assessment, mate. Yeah. And only last night, for the first time, did we look like a really solid unit. And I'm hoping, obviously you never know, and football's a funny old game, as they say, but I'm hoping that was the start of a new sort of wave of confidence in the defence rather than the nervousness that we've seen. And I don't want it, obviously, to be a one-off where we have one superb game and then drop again. So Anel Ahmedhodzic was getting forward yesterday, charging into the midfield like he has done in seasons gone by in the Championship. Looked really strong. Obviously got the third goal for us yesterday as well, which he hasn't troubled any of the goal scorers this season, I don't think. So Jack Robinson is not the same level as Harry Souttar. No doubt about it. There's no getting around it. And before yesterday, I was calling for Rob Holding to be in alongside Anel because I don't think Anel has got the confidence in Jack Robinson as a defensive partner. But for me as well, I've also said, and you've got to be fair with these things, that's an Anel issue. If Anel doesn't trust Jack Robinson, there's not a lot Jack Robinson can do about that. It's a case of Anel has to focus on his own game. So they haven't really worked as a defensive partnership. They were the defensive partnership in the Premier League where we conceded 104 goals. I still don't think it works, to be honest.
What that's like.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Imagine conceding over 100 goals in a 365-day period. Mad, right?
It's shocking, isn't it, mate? It's shocking. I know. So we've suffered too. We've suffered too is what I'm saying. But I still don't think they work as a partnership. However, when you're riding that wave of momentum, I don't think he's done enough to be taken out of the team. I don't think he's done enough wrong. And nor do we want to look for holes. But I think, I wouldn't mind it if Rob Holding came in for the Luton game. But I'm fully expecting Anel and Jack Robinson to be our centre-back pairing.
Yeah, that's very fair. From an outsider perspective, Jack Robinson hasn't done too much wrong coming in, filling in those huge boots that have been left by
literally.
Yeah, he must be size 15. He's 6 or 7. He's giant,
huge.
And he's a tremendous athlete as well. Right, I want to talk about your strikers then.
Okay.
Up front, you brought in Tom Cannon, who it was a bit of a head scratcher. I wouldn't say he's one that needs to be in a promotion battle. And it seems you're sort of, when you're dropping 13 mil on a striker, you sort of hang your hat on him for your next season, which is most likely going to be in the Premier League.
Oh,
do you think?
Not there yet.
I know you're not there yet. I don't want to jump the gun, but behind him, you got Hamer, O'Hare, Raksaki. Would you say Cannon is the choice for the remaining 15 games of the season, or is Ben Brereton Diaz likely to feature more?
So the beauty of the window was we have now got strength in depth. And that was really evident yesterday. So we substituted Raksaki during the game and Ben Brereton Diaz came on. We substituted Tom Cannon and Tyrese Campbell came on. And these might not be, Tyrese Campbell might not be a headline name, but for those that haven't seen him this season,
brilliant.
But he has been brilliant for us.
I would have preferred him rather than Jacob Brown.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we went to Stoke.
Absolutely. And below that, who's going to be back for the weekend is Kiefer Moore as well.
Oh, he's back. Oh,
sorry, mate. Sorry. But there is a bit of good news. I mean, I think Tom Cannon looks like he's going to be out for the game because he was substituted at half-time, which we're all scratching our heads about. And then when they did the lap of honour at the end, he's got a protective boot on. So he's rolled his ankle, we think. So it'll be Tyrese Campbell starting up front. But a lot of fans have called for that anyway. I think it's been very early, some fans' assessments of Tom Cannon. He's not scored yet. He has assisted a goal against Derby, which was the winner for Ben Brereton Diaz. he's worked very hard, and it's sometimes very difficult up front on your own. And I make no, Tyrese Campbell's done a good job there, and it's not an excuse for any poor performance. But I don't think he's been poor. I think he's already behind the 8 ball a little bit, coming in with a big fee, and it's not against Tom Cannon that the fan base. Anybody would accept a £10 million striker into your ranks and think, brilliant, it's a good addition, and we're all happy that he's here. But I think the fans' concerns were, touching on the previous subject we were talking about, we needed a Harry Souttar replacement and not a Rob Holding on loan who maxes out our quota. It's not that Rob Holding's not good enough, because he is, but we were linked with Tanganga at Millwall. And if we'd assigned Tanganga for that 13 million, then that would have slotted in ideal, because we play one up front. So when you've got Tyrese Campbell and you've got Kiefer Moore behind him, and then you've got Ryan Brewster who can come in as well, you've got enough options, I think, particularly with the attacking threat we've got behind those, the way we set up. So I think it was a head scratcher, like you said, in terms of why a number 9. I think it looks like it's been an opportunistic signing, because we've shifted to a more data-driven approach, and his numbers were outstanding in the data. Wilder's been a long-time fan of him. We've talked about him on our channel for a long time. I'm a big fan of Tom Cannon. I think he will be a great player for us. I just hope we didn't spend the defender's budget on a striker when we needed a defender at that time. Having said that, we've brought Rob Holding in now on loan. If Jack Robinson's performances drop, Rob Holding can come in. We're just not as stocked as I'd like us to be in that position. But that's splitting hairs, really. So Tom Cannon is a great signing for us. Signed a 5-year deal. Will do really well for Sheffield United, particularly if we're not successful this year. I really anticipate that he will be a strong championship player for us next year. We'll have to see whether he makes the step up to the Premier League. It's a huge gulf, as we all know. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm delighted with the signing. But I think it's fair to say it was a bit of a head scratcher, because I don't think it was a position we needed as a priority.
No, and having Tyrese Campbell there already,
yeah.
I personally feel Tyrese Campbell is the more mobile option. He's probably, if he is to start against Luton Town, I'd rather, if I were a Blades fan, I'd rather Tyrese Campbell against Luton centre-backs rather than Tom Cannon.
Well, it will be now. It will be, I think.
Yeah. I think it's...
Sorry about that.
For you. No, it's all right. It's all right. I think he's the more mobile option out of Brereton Diaz, Kiefer Moore, and Tom Cannon. He's certainly the one that, as a Sheffield United fan, you would want running behind, around McGuinness and Mads Anderson, because they aren't exactly blessed with pace. But let's turn our attention to the game on Saturday. I'm dreading it. So you're going to be setting up as a 4-2-3-1. Hamer sort of in the left-sided pocket where he drops in, and you got Harrison Burrows who burrows his way past in the... Thank you.
Nice.
He sort of charges down the left. He's sort of like an Alfie Doughty, in a way, just rationalising it for the Luton fans. Tremendous piece of business signing Harrison Burrows.
Agreed.
How do you think the game's going to go? And I will trouble you for your prediction for the Sluga 6 prediction league.
Yes, I remember the Sluga 6. Yeah,
you can tell us how badly you're going to beat us. But let's hear your thoughts about how the game's going to go.
So I think we'll take a lot from last night's game, and we took the game by the scruff of the neck last night, and it's the first time we've done that in a long time. I think we'll look to dominate possession and play in your half, which is, it's a bold thing to say, particularly going down to Luton, who are, again, I know you're having a poor season. I didn't realise you were actually bottom now, but I think we will try and do that and play in your half. I think we will. I'd be very surprised if we didn't line up the same as we did last night, other than Cannon coming out of the team for Campbell due to the injury. So I'm quite confident that we will be aggressive and on the front foot. And we looked really good doing that yesterday. We looked good setting the tempo. And I'm a little bit like you. The McGuinness signing was an absolute head scratcher for me, because I don't rate him at all. And what, £10 million you laid out for him?
Up to £10 million. It wasn't a club fee, so I think it was 5 million with add-ons.
Yeah.
Really.
which won't get added on.
Recruitment's been a real cluster like all season. It's been awful, and there has to be an inquiry if/when we go down. There has to be an inquiry right to the top with the CEO. But that's a topic for another day, because heads should roll. It's been a mess all season. But
is that them back? Sorry, is that them backing Edwards though? Is that them going with what Edwards wants? Do you think?
Edwards, really bad recruitment, holding on to players when we should have sold some players. But we were talking about that off camera beforehand. Like, how were they to know that players who were agitating for moves would just completely throw in the towel and be poor this season?
Because we were saying, weren't we, that obviously Carlton Morris and Adebayo's been really disappointing this season, but had you sold them in the summer, there would have probably been an uproar, wouldn't there, because of how well they did the previous year. So it's a difficult balance to strike, I think, sometimes, in terms of how to rebuild your side.
Yeah, it really is. And obviously we've had a massive rebuild in January. We've signed, well, they say 8, but it's actually 7 because one of them was signed in the summer. And yesterday, of the 7 signings in the summer, in the January window, only 2 started. It looks like a team in transition. And
yes.
We might have to go root and stem in the summer from League One to completely change everything, bottom to top.
Well, you've got a great League One manager now, haven't you? So
we do, yes. The funniest thing is, from all the data points, I don't know if I said this on the thing that I recorded for your show. Gary Sweet said, where after Bloomfield was appointed, we had 1,000 data points.
You did
for over 100 managers, 200 managers worldwide. They go hire someone 20 miles up the road.
Oh, you did say that.
Who cost $100,000. Absolutely pathetic. But I like Bloomfield. I like the new shape, and in a way, we're sort of going to be matching you up.
Okay.
But you will be camped in our half. I do think that. But what's the score prediction then?
I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 Sheffield United. If we had to play like we did last night, we will beat you. If we turn up and sort of go into ourselves a little bit like we've been playing prior to that, then it'll be a much more scrappy game, and that might suit you a little bit. So I'm hoping that even if it's 80% of what we saw last night, then we can, because I think we will always play the game in front of us, and that's the pure focus. But always in the back of players' minds is the Leeds game coming up around the corner as well, and we need to be going into that in the best form we can. There's the incentive for us to go top of the league, because Leeds don't play Sunderland now until Monday, so we are 2 points behind Leeds. And if we beat you, obviously that takes us back to the top of the league, and it's a mental advantage, isn't it, to potentially leapfrog them after they think they have absolutely steamrolled everybody and they are the best team that's ever been in the Championship. So we shall see. It's
going to be a vital game. That Leeds Sheffield United game is going to be.
I was dreading it. I was absolutely dreading it until I saw us last night, and then you think if we turn up, and because it's never been a question of the quality of our players. You look at the individuals that we've got: Callum O'Hare, Gus Hamer, Sidney Peck has become a real player for us. But Vinny Souza and Elak Medhodzic back to his best. I think the goalkeeper was our best summer signing. So there's quality all over the pitch for us. It just hadn't clicked, and we weren't seeing good performances. And last night it looked like we may have finally found a bit of rhythm. So if that's the case, then it's going to be one hell of a game against Leeds United. And I'm hoping we continue the momentum, obviously, on Saturday. I'd like Luton to stay up, but obviously that's going to be, I'm hoping for that after the weekend rather than offering you any sympathies prior to that, pal.
Yeah, no, I would also like Luton to stay up.
I know you would. I know you would.
Yeah, we'll see what happens at the weekends. But Jimmy, before you go, one final question.
Okay.
Are Sheffield United going up?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Are Sheffield United going up as champions? I'll ask you again after the Leeds game.
Yeah, that's the time to ask me. But if you're asking me now, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
And Jimmy, where can people find you?
You can find me primarily on YouTube. That is at the Blades Ramble YouTube channel. all of our content is funneled through there, but we are all over social media. Just type in Blades Ramble and you'll find us. Thanks for having me, pal. Appreciate it.
Right. Sorry it wasn't Phil. Sorry. Yeah. Who is worrying you in this team? It's a very strong team.
I mean, again, it was a bit like Sunderland. How long have you got, right?
I think they're more of a threat than Sunderland, to be honest, because they have a ton of experience, not just raw youth. And
well, if we go with the player that probably tore us a new one, for want of a better phrase, in the away leg, I'll go with Raksaki, because
tremendous player.
Incredible player, and now hopefully he won't be up against Royal Walters on the wrong side with a broken foot. So that might help, but even so, I think he's going to cause problems. I think getting him to run towards his own goal will help, it's their defence as well. Their strikers obviously. Cannon's settling in still, but
Cannon is going to be missing the game.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Ahmed Hodfitch for me is the other one, by the way. But yeah, so is he? Right, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a relief, but they still have Tyrese Campbell, Kiefer Moore could be back, Ben Brereton Diaz. They are absolutely stacked. They are so stacked. Harrison Burrows for me. One thing we don't do: stop crosses.
Yeah. Yeah. What a signing. We said it at the time. It was someone we were coveting heavily at Luton as well. Having someone
as fans, I think we were never in for him.
No,
we're like, we got Alfie Doughty, don't we?
That's true. Yeah, I think at the start of the season we thought maybe Alfie might be off because of how well he did in the Premier League. But yeah, even so, he's going to be a huge threat. Both sides of the pitch is going to be problematic. We not even mentioned Gus Hamer.
Yeah. Well player, but he kind of gets outshone because of the embarrassment of riches they have elsewhere. Like Vinny D'Souza's tremendous at this level.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Callum O'Hare, he's doing a job as well, isn't he? They have talent and quality all over the pitch. For me, I mentioned it in the opposition review with Jimmy. I'm happy Harris Sousa's gone. Well, he's out for the season.
He's out, yeah.
He's a tremendous player, and Luton Town. He's like a bogey player for Luton Town. I don't think we've ever beaten a team that he's in. He's a giant. He's so good.
He is.
Yeah.
We've got to mix it up tactically if we want to have any impact in the game. Yeah, because I think the way we were playing against Sunderland, they will lap that up all day long. Yeah, that's what anyone will. Yeah.
Well, let's get your thoughts on the game. It's time for score predictions.
Well, it's probably not going to surprise anybody that I've gone for a Sheffield United win and they don't concede goals and we don't score them, so 2-0. I think our home form has disappeared a little bit of late. The Millwall game was atrocious. The Preston game was appalling to watch as a neutral, but as his first game, you'd go, well, at least we stopped the rot. We got a draw, fine. But nothing about those two performances gives me any hope against a team like Sheffield United, if I'm being perfectly honest. I really hope I'm wrong. I'm just struggling to see where the optimism and the hope is coming from. And it feels like we're almost numb to it now. We're almost just letting it happen on the pitch and off it as fans as well. I think it's going to be a difficult afternoon for us. 2-0.
Yeah, mediocrity has been accepted, and it's not even accepted. It's just
I was going to say, I'd kill for mediocrity. Give me mediocrity, please. This is absolute toilet.
We're so far beyond scraping mediocrity. So far beyond. Right, I've gone for 1-0 Sheffield United. I was trying to go head over heart. My heart was saying 1-1, but I'm an idiot, as so many fans will tell you. So I was hopeful, but I don't see it being as realistic as possible. So yeah, that's it. I think we're going to lose, and then we've got to put absolutely everything we can into this Plymouth game.
Yeah,
no messing.
We have to win that game if
That
we want to
has
stay
to,
up.
yeah.
We have to win it.
If we lose that,
We're
we
down.
are down.
100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt, because there's no way we're going to accrue enough points to stay up otherwise.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What a sour note to finish on.
Been that kind of a season. Yeah.
Oh, it has. It has. What a depressing season so far. It will get worse. As I've said many times, I've seen 6 relegations. This relegation, though, would be the worst because it is by far the most avoidable. And the rot has come from the top with errors throughout the season. But look, if it happens, we'll discuss it, won't we? We'll probably do a phone in to let everyone vent.
Yeah, I'll just be crying.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right, but that's it for this week. Remember, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. There's tons of Luton Town content. Check the description below. There are a few links with a few of our bits and pieces in there, or just have a peruse of our channel. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this game in the comments as well. But as always, most importantly, come on, you Hatters.